And my favorite movie of 2012 was... This really wasn't a fair fight. Les Miserables has been my favorite musical for a very long time, and despite the movie's imperfections, it still holds up in my opinion. The problems with this movie were mainly rooted in the direction, the editing, and the camera work. The editing at the beginning of the movie went by so quickly that I could hardly see the sets, and I hardly found it necessary to do all of Dream to Dream and Valjean's soliloquy in one shot. I found that very distracting, as well as the rain of 45-degree angle shots in a couple of scenes. What was the thought process behind that? Anyway, the music and the story, in my opinion, were so good that the imperfections hardly mattered to me anymore. I don't even know where to begin with why I love this story so much. It's a story of a criminal who was just released, angry at the world for treating him so poorly, who was shown love for the very first time by an old bishop. And with that, he turned his entire life around and devoted his life to showing love to others, showing how serving others is the only real way to find fulfillment in this world. After that, we give the political struggle of the people willing to better their country and are willing to give their lives for the greater cause, all of which ended up dying and changing nothing. Which leaves such an interesting question, which is addressed by the song Empty Chairs and Empty Tables. One of the most interesting points that the story shows is through the character of Javert, who thinks he is doing the will of God when he is obviously doing anything but. That's contrasted with the character of Valjean, who is only trying to do good in this world, but is hunted down regardless. It is a direct symbol of the contrast between the law versus the grace. People who focus on the law too hard miss the whole point of what God's love is really about, and what grace really means. And finally, there's the love story. It's a musical. They're allowed to fall in love in 5 seconds. Get over it. The best part of the love story for me was the unrequited portion shown through Eponine, who was my favorite character in the musical. Eponine is one of the most selfless characters I've seen in a very long time. Imagine that. A selfless character in a love triangle. When was the last time that happened? No. Eponine literally got disowned by her parents because she saved the life of the girl that her dream man loves, before she literally takes a bullet to save his life. Now, taking the plot aside, I loved the controversial decision to have the actors sing live. It made it much more authentic and gave the actors room to shine. And I had absolutely no problem with the casting at all, especially with Samantha Barks, who was the perfect Eponine, and the surprisingly fantastic Eddie Romaine. People can say what they want about this movie, but I loved every second of it, and despite its flaws, it was still my favorite movie of 2012.